Okay, well, this is about to get epic. The Audio-Technica LP70X. Does it have a skipping issue? Well, I guess I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Well, I've done a ton of research since my last seen you guys. I've read a ton of comments. I answered a bunch of them. I've been so busy with doing my research. This is going to be epic. This is going to be long, and I hope you guys all stay tuned. I'm about to go through what I have found on my journey into seeing if this was a 1 or 2 album thing, or if this is, you know, something. There was some comments talking about people had listened to several albums and their experiences. So I'm about to show you the stack of albums I played through and set through every moment of them and made notes. We've got another turntable here, and we're going to put some of them albums through their paces on trying the songs and the spots that may or may not have skipped on this, that did on that. And we even got this. Yes, you see that right. A Suitcase player. We're going to try some of this stuff that we have problems with skipping on that as well. This is going to be a journey. Thanks for being here. All right, so let's get down to it. So we're gonna start back. If you guys haven't been following, I'm sure most of you followed along so far with where we're at. The Audio-Technica, the AT-LP70X. We'll just call it the 70X from here on out. I was having some problems with some looping on a couple albums. In particular, we'll call this Ground Zero. This was the one that started it all off, I guess we'll say. This was the first one that alerted me to the problem. So Iron Maiden, well, that's going to be the one. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, that was the one that was real bad on. So that is we're going to go through all the music real quick. I'll put timestamps, and this is going to be so long and so epic, I'll probably put timestamps. I try to do a whole bunch of variety of, not so much genres, but different time periods, used levels, like for instance, this Hotel California copy. This actually did not skip. Nirvana Bleach. This is a slightly used copy. It was a reissue, I believe. Skipped on Swap Meet 7 times. It self-fixed, and then it did a 5-time self-fix on the loop. The Alan Parsons Project did not. Tone Loked After Dark. It's in really good shape. Hadn't been played much at all. This actually did skip, but no loop. So it just was a little skip. It did not loop. Thank you to Sloth Squatch for sending this to me. I don't know if that ever got released. My mail time, I've got a battle with my son. He does a lot of my editing. But the Nirvana Unplugged in New York, amazing album. Good Lord, I can't tell you how amazing this album is, but that's not the point. The point is it sounds really good and all that. It did not skip whatsoever. It played beautifully. Neil Young, On the Beach, an old copy in semi-rough shape. Vampire Blues, loop, no correction. Okay, on the first go round, 7 on the second. So the first time it was looping, it kept looping infinity. Like I let it loop for quite a while. I finally did a reset on it. It hit that spot again, and it looped 7 times, and then it corrected. On the third try, it did not skip or loop. Infinite, no correction. On the second go round, it did a 7, and then I tried it one more time just to check, and it did 5 skips, 5 loops, whatever you want to call it, and then it corrected itself. Steve Miller Band, this is a really good shape. I think this is an eBay purchase as well. It played beautifully. No problems on that one. Some people are mentioning stuff like warps and different things. All these albums, unless I noted, play pretty straight. They're not real warped. This one hasn't a defined warp, Morgul. I put it on, and it did actually skip on this one. Ragged Little Dolls, it looped. It would not fix itself the first 2 times. I gave it one more try, and then it did fix itself after 7 loops. It did correct itself. 5 and 7 seem to be the numbers, mainly 7 it seems like. Yes, this one played fine, absolutely no problems. This was the first album I ever had anybody send me with this channel, and this is from my friend John Husk, who goes by Husky. from the UK, and this was sent all the way to me here, and I'm flattered. John Husk, thank you. Husky, I should say. I can't say it's my favorite album I've ever listened to. I've listened to it now about 4 or 5 times total. This was brand new, unopened, sealed. Trying/falling It did a 7 times loop, and it self-fixed, and it duplicated 7 times loop again. And that was a brand new album. ELO, this one played fine. Edgar Winter Group. This album is in rough shape. This was a purchase for a couple bucks at a flea market. It's wore out, it's tired. Played a lot better than I thought it would. When it comes, looped 5 times and self-corrected, and I repeated that twice. Also skipped on We All Had a Real Good Time. It self-corrected on the second attempt. Bob Haley, notably wore and scratched. It didn't skip. Close to the Edge from Yes. Side 1 played perfect. 2 started looping, and it would not correct, and after 4 times of trying to get it to correct, and it kept looping in the same spot, about a third or a quarter of the way into side 2, was not going to get past it. The Offspring, brand new album, bought off Amazon, played beautifully. I wanted to try a 2-record album, played all 4 sides. It played wonderful. This right here is a 12-inch single with the really wide grooves. It's got enormously wide grooves. You can look at the album and see how wide they are. It did not skip or loop whatsoever. It's not the greatest of music, but it worked. Elixir, I discovered not that long ago. This was brand new, same site that I bought the other one, the Holocaust one from. Anyway, this right here played beautifully. Something from Walmart. I wanted to get something from Walmart in there. Tyler, the Creator, Igor, an album that I bought off a recommendation of a friend of mine because I want to be open to new music. And I can tell you right now that I like this way better than I thought I would like it. Didn't skip, mess up, nothing one time. I tried a 45 single. This was the worst of the worst. It had a 5 skip loop, and then it self-corrected. And I tried it again, and it did the same thing. It's horrible music. But you know, it is what it is. So that's where we're at. So to give you a visual, this stack right here all had problems on the 70X. That stack all had problems, and this is all within the same time frame of the last few weeks. They've listened to all these, and then this stack, which thankfully is a bigger stack, did not have any problems whatsoever. Just guessing off this, I'm going to guess that the problem with the 70X is it will skip on about I'm going to say 35 to 40% of the time. Now, let's start figuring out what we're going to do to combat that. Okay, I've heard you guys loud and clear. Lots of ideas. So I got this Digitnow vinyl record stabilizer, and I believe it has a level in the middle so we can see the level of it. It's very heavy, you know, it weighs the record down. That was one of you guys' concerns, if there was enough weight holding it down. A record cleaner anti-static brush. Some of you guys were talking about electrostatic, and when we had all that cold in the snow, it did get pretty staticky around here. Some of you out there, I know Husky was talking about something to anti-vibration, so I got the pads. There's going to be links to all this stuff. I'll have affiliate links for Amazon where I purchased all this stuff, and you guys can see exactly what it is. Plus, if you decide to pull the trigger or not, at least all this stuff. Turntable Mats, which has, we're going to try out different mats. We've got rubber, and it's pretty thick. Cork, and a thicker felt than what came with it. We also have an acrylic mat. Since we have this acrylic mat, what we can do is we can try and see how the anti-skate works on that. We'll try running it bare needle on there and see how it tracks it. So we're gonna have fun. We're gonna try all kinds of different things. So that's where we're at. Let's get to work. We've got some Nirvana bleach. I picked out one of them out of the group that I've already gone through here previously, and I thought, well, you know, this one right here has a pretty definitive loop. We're going to take that spot on bleach. I'm going to make sure it doesn't skip on the Marantz now that we've adjusted the tracking force down to the operable range for its stylus, which is 1.45 or so. We're just going to double check on the Marantz and make sure if it loops on the Marantz, then we know that there's just something wrong with the record, and we're going to start checking things, because I know you guys said the picture disc aren't the best, a lot of you said, so we're not going to use the Iron Maiden one, although that one has a definitive loop on it. This Bleach album is in really good shape, so we're going to try it on here and make sure it don't loop, and then we'll go back to the Audio Technica, the LP70X, and then we'll see how it goes, and then we'll start trying all these gadgets we have and see if any of them fix it. All right, so we just got done with that. It did not skip. There was 2 spots I did notice a slight pop, nothing crazy. There was a couple spots though, I will say that. I want to be completely transparent. But no skips or loops whatsoever. And the pops weren't pronounced. You know, they were a pop, but it wasn't pronounced. So now we're going to switch over here. Okay, right now I'm going to talk over. Okay, it just got done doing a 5-time loop at one part of the song. I'm going to let this finish out, but it did do a 5-time self-corrected loop. Just want to document it real quick. All right, since we pretty much already know it's not getting, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I know you guys don't, I'm pretty sure the vibrations in the room aren't causing anything, considering the fact I have it low volume. It's on a pretty stable metal shelf. I'm sitting over here in my recliner. I'm nowhere near it, and there's nothing moving in the room. We're going to start off with the vinyl record stabilizer. We're going to start with that and give this a try first and see how this does. Now, I will say this right now, first of all, this thing's pretty dang heavy. Let's try this first. Let's try this stabilizer first. Okay, we're in the middle of a loop right now. We're about 4 into it or 5 into it. That's about 6 or so, 7. So it looks like the stabilizer did not work on fixing the loop. This is the first loop that usually self-corrects. Matter of fact, I'm going to go so far as to say, okay, it self-corrected after about 8 or 9. So the stabilizer on its own is a fail. It has not remedied the problem on either the first self-correcting looping it's doing, skipping / looping, whatever you want to call it, or the second one that doesn't self-correct at all. So now we're going to go to the record cleaner / anti-static brush from Audio-Technica. If it fixes it, we know it's the brush and not the stabilizer, because the stabilizer right now did not fix anything. I'm getting to the point now where I'm just not optimistic about anything working. I'm going to say this though, what I'm optimistic about is something I can't say enough. I love this turntable, and I know people are going to say, yeah, but if it skips, as you've seen from the record stack, it does occasionally hit a record. I mean, 40% of the time-ish, I'm hitting a spot in a record that's skipping or looping, right? But man, it sounds so good, and it's so operational. Like the way it works is so great. I'm loving it, and I want it to work. Anyway, let's try this on here and see if this indeed fixes it. This is not a how-to by any means, but this is how I'm going to do it. And I'm hoping this is going to fix it. Now let's see what happens. All right, well, you guessed it. Let me turn this down a little bit. You guessed it. It's still looping. And let's see if it self-corrects. I think this is the self-correct one. And hopefully it self-corrects. And right now, it's probably about 8 or 9 times, and it hasn't self-corrected. So this is where it normally self-corrects, I believe, and that means it's actually gotten worse. Okay, here's the next one it's on right now that doesn't self-correct. I'm gonna let it go for a little bit. I'm not gonna bore you with this. And then I'm gonna put the anti-vibration plate things. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, I'm gonna put that on it next. I'm gonna try it. Then we're gonna get into the mats. We got the mats next. So we're gonna try the Tuneful Cable Sound Isolation Pads. All this stuff's gonna have links in the description, affiliate links. So if you guys wanna support the channel and you want any of this stuff, I appreciate if you use our affiliate links. But you don't have to, but I mean, it would be nice. Anyway, I think these were like 15 bucks. It's nothing here was expensive. I think this is around 15. The brush was, I think, 15. The weight was even less. I think it was 12 or 13. So let's try the isolation pads. We're gonna put it on there. We're gonna try it again and see what happens. Okay, so the isolation pads, okay, you know, it's a broken record, no pun intended. Anyway, so now we've got the felt, which it already has a felt, but it's a thinner one. There's a thicker felt. We've got cork, and we've got rubber. I'm gonna go through all 3 of them and see if it does anything with the combination of the isolation pads, the stabilizer, and the static brush again right now. But once I put one of these on there. And then I've got a little surprise at the end. I think we're gonna try it, and then we're gonna check something with it. Well, let's look at these real quick. See if there's a significant, oh yeah, this one's definitely thicker. Okay, we're gonna try this one. You know, I'll probably just go ahead and kind of just cut to a, you know, just show you a little bit of each one, and then if anything changes, maybe I'll let you know. Because I don't think you guys want to sit through going through every one of these mats. Okay, well, I want to report back real quick. This is, we have this actually in a loop that it is not recovering from in the beginning of the song now, versus usually it hits it about halfway through the first one, and then the second one comes in the last part of the song. So anyway, it's actually getting worse at this point. So let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so it's not correcting. Okay, so same thing. It even had it corrected itself this time in the beginning. All right, so it's just as bad, if not worse. It took it 12 times to get past the first one that's set up now. So we got one more thing to try, and then we got one thing to check, and then we're gonna call it, and we'll wrap it up. Something that, you know, people have been talking about, the acrylic mat. So we're gonna try an acrylic mat, and then regardless of how it does, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to try the anti-skate test that people use on these acrylic mats, where they just set the bare needle down on it and see if it slides one side or another, I guess. So let's get to that now, and we'll see how the acrylic mat does. All right, so basically nothing to report here. Same thing, same old song. Don't mean to sound like a broken record. I'm sorry, I can't stop at the puns. You know, it is what it is at this point. So there's one last thing I want to try, and then we'll wrap this up. I'm going to go ahead and put this in various spots for a second on this acrylic mat, and see what happens, and see if it's tracked straight or if it slides. I'm guessing that this is the problem. I'm guessing it's going to slide. It's not going to stay wherever it's dropped. That's my guess, and I think that's the problem, in my opinion. I'm no expert. I'm going to start here because this is an area where it's having problems in some records. I'm going to drop that. No, it looks to be okay. That's not an issue there. Let's go a little bit more in the middle. It's towards the inside it has most of the problems, but no, seems to be tracking good there too. Let's go a little further. And now it seems to be tracking. Well, so this might be debunked too. This is, let's try that again. No, I mean, it looks to be good. Well, okay. I mean, let's wrap this up. All right, guys. Well, it's not from a lack of trying, I can tell you that. I don't know. I thought for sure by the time we got to the end right there, we were going to check that anti-skate by putting it down on that acrylic mat, and it was gonna pull one way or another, and I was gonna say, there we go, because I just almost feel like there's this weird tension, and it's helping cause that. And maybe there is. Maybe it doesn't show up like that. I don't know, but there's a gap underneath the little, you know, some people say that little metal foot that comes down on the cueing, when you put the cueing lever up and down, or the mechanism, it has that shelf right there where that little leg comes down and goes on. No, there's a gap between that, so it's not resting on that, so that's not a problem. All those gadgets are cool. Not one of them made a difference to me, and matter of fact, as time went and I kept doing it, it got kind of worse. And I'm gonna probably take the album after I get done with this. I'm not gonna bore you guys any more of this, unless something happens I need to let you know on. I'm gonna play it one more time on the Marantz just to make sure it hasn't developed a bad spot where it is looping or skipping on the Marantz. At this point, I don't know. And the Marantz has a conical needle. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I know that in the comments someone saying the Marantz had an elliptical. It does not. It has a conical. Anyway, I love the turntable. I want to be clear on this. These are not hate videos. I'm not putting this out there to make fun of, hate on, or anything else. I'm telling you right now, you know, I don't regret. I mean, it was a gift, you know, first of all, but I love this turntable. I'm keeping it. I love the way it sounds, love the way it functions. Do I like that it loops on some albums and some songs? On some songs? No, I absolutely don't. It's frustrating. But I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to see over time if it corrects itself, if it gets better. Maybe it breaks in. I don't know. I'm also, next on the list is I'm going to try the elliptical on it. I'm going to start with the green one if I can find it. It's getting kind of hard to find. And then I'll try that, and then I'll try the orange, and I'll try the red. You know, I'm probably going to go through the whole stylist deal. So keep, you know, I've got some other stuff coming up too. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to end this on this particular product here, the record player. I'm going to say this. At $199, this is a non-Bluetooth model. And the Bluetooth model is what, $249, so $250 versus $200. At those prices, I don't know if I would buy it. Part of the, I mean, if it didn't have this issue whatsoever and there was no known issue of this, would I buy it at those prices? Probably. Knowing the issue it has, or the chances for, I don't know if every model is going to have this. Some people are saying theirs is fine. When it was on sale at $179 is, I think when my son got me mine. $179, that's getting kind of hard for the non-Bluetooth models. $179, that's kind of a hard choice. Would I get it or not? Oof, that's tough. I'm right on the fence. I might if I really need one because it sounds so good and it operates so well. And it's kind of a crapshoot if it's going to have the skipping issue, right? And then when it got down to $159, so $160, it's a no. To me, it's a no-brainer at that point. I mean, I know there's other stuff to be had out there, and there's some stuff that I've seen some prices coming down. We're going to have to get some different turntables and try them out. I've got this little Suitcase player that you guys are going to see an unboxing on here coming up. Won't be a review, just an unboxing. I am eventually going to give some long-term on it, and I talk about that in that video. I also bought a Yamaha receiver, and I've been playing with that. And I've got these microphones that we're using. I've got an unboxing on them, and you guys kind of get to see how they are. They're already being used in this one, but the unboxing's coming up, and I think it was a great deal for anyone that's a content creator. All this stuff is coming up. It's all, we're putting it all together right now. So there's gonna be a lot more content. This has been holding us up because I had to wait on stuff to come in, and then this has taken me weeks to film. There's probably 12 hours into just putting this together and recording. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the comments and the help, and I appreciate you guys watching the unboxing and the skipping issue video I put out on this. And I feel it's sort of my welcoming to the vinyl community, even though it was about a product and a possible issue. This has been fun, and I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep putting my efforts into it. And I also have some other things I'm going to come out with some reviews on, and I don't like to even call them reviews. I don't feel like I'm qualified for these to be reviews, but you know what I mean. Please subscribe, please like, please share, do all that kind of stuff, and use affiliate links if you want any of these products. Please, it helps with a couple pennies. Enough of that together makes a couple bucks. So thanks again for watching. I'm the Rambling Wolfman, and I am wore out, and I'm done rambling. So we'll see you next time.